moment of silence, please, for the whole Evtol industry.
Well deserved.
Guys, we've had a mad week. Do you know what? I've had a great weekend, so I actually can't complain. Max Verstappen won. The McLaren's got disqualified.
Oh my
Liverpool and
god.
Man City lost.
Oh my
Arsenal
gosh.
won. Do you know what? I had a great weekend, but do you know what? I better get back to business. We had Joby flying in Dubai. We had Archer present at Dubai.
Yeah.
We had the industry tanking with a short report on Horizon Aircraft. We'll get on to that. Oh, we had a lawsuit. I knew I was forgetting something. Yeah. We had a lawsuit.
And that thing.
Yeah, right, guys. Lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, Dylan? How have you been getting on?
You know, I guess maybe I'm glad it came out on a Friday. It gave me the weekend to soak it in. You know, gave me some true non-work time to really read over the legal doc and figure out not figure out quite what's going on X, but get the general consensus, the feeling, the vibe, whatever you may say, of kind of what the eVTOL community is feeling inside of this heated debate now. I didn't even tell you this pre-stream, Liam. Maybe it was so caught up in my thoughts, I went to just go make a quick coffee, and I'm a pretty pro at putting a little tab in the thing and pressing 8, and came back to it, coffee everywhere. I had not put the coffee cup right up. I put it upside down, so all of it right. So the head must be full, but it's been a good digestion, and like you say, there's been really, I think it's been 2 weeks maybe now since we've actually talked, and for me, it's really sad that this is what we're going into a market open week talking about on an eVTOL weekly, with us, to be honest. I was really hoping that when we got to talking this Sunday, so the worst thing that we were going to talk about is how Archer didn't perform in Dubai, and Joby was flying. And the lawsuit came out, and I like I said, I was on X. I was feeling the different kind of feelings on both Archer and Joby, enthusiast sides and investor sides, and I kind of took a break from that because I really wanted to read the legal document kind of mentally impartial, kind of to any of that flowing in. And again, even though I'm known as an Archer investor and an Archer bull, I had the whole ride I've owned shares of each company. And it's just something I take very seriously when the lawsuit does come out, not just as an Archer shareholder, but as an eVTOL enthusiast. And I've said that many times in my posts, like, this is to the eVTOL enthusiasts. It's not just to the investors. I think a lot of us in the early stages are enthusiasts in this industry. That's not an industry yet. It's an emerging industry, guys. And what we had now was we had a quarter in front of us and 2026 on the horizon to look at rampant manufacturing, the advancement of the EIPP. And what do we get now? We have a jury case to be had in California, March 20th, 2026, if not settled prior. And if it goes to court and this thing draws out, to me, the important people are spending time in the wrong places. And that's not me belittling what the lawsuit is, and what we'll definitely talk more on that. And I'm going to give the honest opinions about what I feel like the write-up was. So I'm not negating that at all. But yeah, I think for me, it's a sad cloud for me on the industry right now, as I felt like we were, all puns intended, we're taking off. And a bad macro, fib lines were holding. Archer got, the deal, the partnership that could never be spoke of.
You know the worst thing about it?
Yeah.
I bought, and I put it on X, I bought $8 calls for January 16th.
Oh, okay.
It happened, but it was before it all came out. And as it came out, I was just like, oh, do you know what? This is just This sums up the market, you know.
But you know what? In the Evtol industry, you never know what the next week lies ahead. Like
Yeah.
even as you say that, then it almost flips. And this is what I love. And I'll tell Liam this, and I'll tell the whole community. And thank you everybody for being here and spending time. And definitely jump in the chat and let us know how you're feeling about either sides, the lawsuits, Dubai, and everything. But it's just kind of great because it's like the emotions are settled, and it's just kind of nice how you can flip the switch too, where it's like, even if you're feeling like it's like, I bought that option right before the market turn, and then it just makes me think how quick the eVTOL market turns itself. And again, these are high beta names. We're going to deal with the macro of the overall economic environment. S&P goes down, we're going to have a bigger drop upon our stocks most likely. And actually, I'll just say surprised. There's couple different words I could put in there. Surprised, interesting consolidation after the Anduril news came out. Because really, I mean, the macro was testing bad, but I feel like at that point in time, with certain earnings pops and certain just little catalyst news, were having stock prices just kind of get the little 5-10% news bumps for the day. And it was really surprising, actually, that there was really no move that was coming off the Anduril news when they had actually signed the deal with UAE to get 50 of those Omen systems. So that was kind of interesting. So, and yeah, so then we lead into the weekend. Macro starts crashing. Lawsuit comes. Liam's buying options, and 2026 is on the horizon. So what do you think?
Guys, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give a basic rundown on what's happened for anyone that is not aware of anything that's gone on over the last few days.
Yeah.
So anyone that's new here, Joby Aviation is ahead in the eVTOL race towards certification, towards commercialization. Joby on the 19th came out and they have placed a lawsuit against Archer Aviation. Do you know what? I'll read it here, so I'm not even it'll come straight from the horse's mouth.
Love it.
So for using stolen information by a former employee, and this former employee's name was George Kivark, to one up a partnership deal with a real estate developer, and we will get further into that. The lawsuit alleges that Joby and then US state and local policy lead George Kivark downloaded dozens of files and sent some content to his personal email 2 days before he resigned in July to take a job with Archer, who recruited him. So then, by August, Joby said that the partner worked with Kivark, or Joby said a partner worked with Kivark and said that had been approached by Archer Aviation with a more lucrative deal, so Archer came in with better terms for them. Joby alleges that the eVTOL rival understands the highly confidential details helped leverage negotiations. So we're talking about locations of where vertiports are going to be located for Joby. So really it enables Archer to poach these specifications of the S4 and any future improvements of the S4. And basically what that helps Archer do is benchmark the Midnight and develop a superior product. So
Great
look,
point.
it is pretty serious. When I first read this, I was like, do you know what? That is very, very bad form. Anyone that nicks IP, do you know what? It's a sinking ship. But really, if we break it down, this is like Coca-Cola suing Pepsi, all to do with making cola. You have the eVTOL industry that really, at the moment, is not really an industry. And before we even get kicking off, we have the two major players at war with each other. Now, this is going to drag on until March, which is when the preliminary hearing is.
True. Good point.
You said it's going to be under a jury, so that is going to,
as I read it,
bring us even further. At the time when we're meant to be focusing on the AIP, when we're supposed to be focusing on mass scale out. We're supposed to be closing in on FAA certification. Archer Aviation needs to focus on getting the midnight vertically taking off and landing with a pilot on board. I just don't know what to say. You know what? I had a video ready to go out.
Yeah.
And then Adam put up, so guys, CEO of Archer Aviation, Adam Goldstein, then responded to it very quickly. So I was already starting to record the video because I was like, ooh, this is bad. And do you know what? I was hammering home Archer before I read this. I was ready. Like, do you know what? I had
They
a
call them
bad
the
day.
outtakes. You know, it's in the vault. You know, it's like one day
I
it's
had a
members
bad day in the
only
market.
content. Yeah.
And I
Go
was
for it.
like, do you know what? Archer
Yeah.
stung me again.
Yeah.
But Adam comes out and says, let me be clear. Archer has no deal with this developer. And that is very important here when we come back to the lawsuit. So Archer has no deal with the developer. Now, this is where it gets a bit Elon Musk-like. He starts going, Joby's accusations are fantasy. I get why Joby's frustrated. They've watched us win key deals time and time again. First it was Hovr, then it was the Olympics, then the Lillian Patents, and then the Hawthorne Airport. Suing enough for a deal that we never even bid on is wild. I guess desperation really clouds judgment. Now, this is actually bigger than what first meets the eye. Why, in the name of God, would Archers say about Hovr Olympics, Lillian Patents, and Hawthorne Airport if Joby had absolutely no interest in them? We're always hearing that Archer paid for the Olympics. We never wanted the Lillian Patents. Hawthorne Airport, changing business. Look, I was very critical of Hawthorne Airport, so I can't say much. But why would he put them 4 things out? He could have said absolutely anything, and he put them 4 things out. He knows it'll. He knows Joby are going to read this. He knows this is
that's true.
More or less certainly going to be read in court now.
That's fair. That's a great. Yeah, that's a great point. Anything said from here is evidence. A, B, C, D. Continue. That's a great point.
So we had that. Then let me jump across now.
You know, the one that curious that he did not mention in that, and you know, again, because I want to definitely crowdsource and figure out and see what we can find. As I always hope we're first to the news on it. He did not mention the mission critical composite deal within that. So that was just something, again, as you're reading it, that to me leans a little bit more into real estate. I'm actually going to go check the date on that acquisition real quick just to see if it lines up with anything. But I don't know, just again.
And another one I would have thought.
Go for it.
If Joby hadn't bid on any of them 4 things, well, why didn't he mention like the deal in Osaka with Japan Airlines?
That's I was curious. I was curious about, you're right, the international partners as well. I was very curious about that.
Then Archer's chief legal and strategy officer Eric Lentil then issued a statement on November 20th. So this was the day after. So he says, Joby alleges we used their trade secrets to win a deal with a developer, but the reality is that Archer has no deal with this developer. So straight away,
you
can't sue someone for winning a deal when they don't have a deal. Mr. Kivrock, now, this is completely different. This Kivrock, I actually think, is in very hot water at the moment.
I do not disagree.
Did not bring any Joby confidential information to Archer. Now, this is completely different, yeah? To prove that he brought it to Archer is one thing, but to prove he'd taken it is another. And they are pretty certain that he took it. So I think he's in very, very hot water. And it's one of those, you know, we're on the Hustle Brothers now, but if I wanted to go to another channel and I go, do you know what? I know what the Hustle Brothers are going forward. So I'm going to take all these plans. This is going to help me in my job going forward. I not necessarily have given anyone anything, but just by chance that Archer does. Look, Archer are going to make contact with the same developers that Joby are, because it's the same industry. They're both trying to do the same thing. They're both
That's a fair
look.
point.
You're going to say that Joby
Fair
are
point.
further ahead, but look, this whole industry is starting off. So
Mhm.
we're all starting from ground zero.
Yeah.
So they're all going to be in contact with the same developers all the time. But association isn't always causation. So
Mhm.
just because Archer may have contacted that developer doesn't mean that because Kivok left Joby and stole this stuff. I think, if anything, this is more of a lawsuit that could affect Kivok and Kivok's job more than
Mhm.
affect Archer Aviation. That's just my thoughts. What are you thinking, Dylan?
Yeah, no, I very much agree. And this is when I'm like, why did my second monitor go out so I could have this whole doc up? Because I went through, I highlighted a bunch, so I'm not gonna kind of bore you with it. But the what I was reading in, I'll just throw a rough 80% of the doc, 80, 85, 75 to 85% of the doc was the allegations of what Kivork did in his final days at Joby, maybe about 2 days prior to him leaving Joby.
Yeah,
Again, with the traditional HR papers that we would all sign, that all the terms and agreements that we just put our names next to. We don't really read through, but at the same time, in 2025, and especially if you're working at a emerging industry, emerging technology industry, probably good household knowledge to know to leave the files where they need to be. Whether you're working with local government, state government, federal government. Again, this is a good wake up call to any of us, where sometimes we get to learn through others' mistakes, and so just a reminder for everybody: leave the documents where they are, and don't bother taking them home. And even if Kivor had and again, this is in his final 2 weeks, when Joby had offered him the cooling off period, which again reads just odd. Again, for me, I'm more familiar with presenting a employer with a 2 weeks notice, and the employer being okay with that, and basically you staying on. Maybe if you have leave, you just go ahead and get paid out for that, and you're just kind of out of the company, clean your desk, and you're good to go. But it seemed as, and I read, and please anybody feel free to correct me, as if it was Joby that more initiated what was designated as a cooling off period as Kevork was leaving. And so it was just an interesting kind of way to hear that Joby was initiating Kevork's exit, and did the exit interview on him as well. And when the documents are read, and anything towards Kevork seems to be on the surface factually possible. Again, I guess I don't want to get into accusation. The we at least in America, it's, or the U.S., it's the innocent before until proven guilty. So I'm not here to necessarily say he did it or did not do it, but just to be my most upfront gut opinion and self. Did he send the files? I mean, I would say most likely some files did make it to his personal email that he sent. Yes, so I do agree with you. I think he's in hot water. I think his job's in question. I don't know if that involves jail time, penalties, fines. His departure from Archer. And just his career moving forward. It's bad move there. But to get to the legal doc, when it was approaching Archer, and just being honest, with Archer refuting that, with one Archer refuting that they had ties to the developer, and any ties with Kevork was accelerating their deal with this developer, seemed to be refuted, as well as any knowledge of Archer using Kevork to accelerate any deals, or to decelerate any deals on Joby's side. And then also to where they were pointing to Archer as making kind of irrevocably damage. So it was just very strong statements. It's so when each of the different, I believe it was 9, it might have been a few more, but at least 9 different technical law filings that were in the lawsuit. And all of them did seem like they wanted some sort of cash settlement. It seemed, it's to what this
yeah,
was going to basically cost Joby. But it really did seem like it was attacking Archer as a business and their business principles. And yeah, I think once this does go to court, if it does go that far, um, when writing this up, I think you want to really nail who you're going after, and if you're going after the big company, there is always an opportunity to sue for defamation of character, or I'm sorry, to countersue for defamation of character. And again, I'm not even looking for Archer to do that. I don't need Archer to bankroll themselves off Joby. And I'm not saying that Joby's trying to bankroll themselves off Archer. If there was something truly done wrong, then if these were my companies, I would probably not want this gentleman. I would probably want recourse and action taken as well.
I thought it was quite interesting that it was
Yeah.
released on the day Archer had its
Mm.
worst day since that DeepSeek and
Mm.
the whole market tanked that time. I thought it was strategic the way it came out. Look, Joby had such a good week in
Yeah.
Dubai. This week we should be talking about how well they performed. But do you know what? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like if Coca-Cola done this to Pepsi,
Yeah.
is it not that it shows a sign of weakness, but it shows a sign that Kivok was a lot more important to Joby than Joby made out.
But that's
And
a great
how
point.
has Archer nicked such an important
Yes.
member of staff this
Yes.
early
Yeah,
in the
I was,
process?
yes. No, I nailed it. I was curious about that too. I'm like, if Kevork has all, his position, I'm like, well, yeah, just no, you said it perfectly, Liam. I leave it there. You said it perfectly. I was very, very interested in that.
And then how has it taken this long to find out that Kevork has sent it to his personal email? I'm not doubting he's done it because it's a very serious thing to say that he's done it and he hasn't. So I'm pretty certain he has done it. But does
Fair.
that not show a bit of negligence that this guy is leaving to your biggest competition and you're not monitoring his emails? If he is such a senior position, if he is in contact with all this confidential information, which I've no doubt he was, but isn't that the thing you would monitor the closest? He's going to your biggest competition. If Archer do get hold of this, they're saying what? Irreparable damage and all that. Like, if you're a Joby investor, does it worry you guys? Jump into the comments. Does it worry you guys that Joby wasn't monitoring this prior, and the fact that Kivok wanted to leave? Look, some people just do want to leave. We don't know why he left.
That's fair, fair, and
Was
fair.
it due to
Yeah,
family
no,
commitments?
that's
Was it
fair, fair,
whatever?
and fair. Yeah, great points all
But
the way.
I don't know.
And some things in the lawsuit, just when it gets to the Archer side, to me, there's a few forward-looking statements, and it's like Joby may be further harmed. I can share some other ones as they come up, but just again,
But
as
that
we're
shows you Joby.
yeah,
Like, Joby investors are saying Archer will never work in this, that, and the offer.
yeah,
But if Archer will never work,
mm-hmm.
you have all your Joby engineers there. Yeah. Your engineers will be able to tell you whether Archer will work or will not work. Yeah. If they're never going to work, why are you worried about them? It doesn't matter what trade secrets they have. If they're not going to work, they're not going to work.
You give me all the trade
Joby
secrets
are
in the
worried
world,
about
I can't
Archer.
put it together.
I just think this is going to slow down the whole industry. It really annoys me because, like, the market showed you everything the day after. Archer rallied back up, what, 5%? Joby shut down 2% or so. I don't know. I don't think it's a good look on both companies.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good look on Archer because there's no smoke without fire.
Well, and also, again, we're 2-3 years off the Boeing whisk. lawsuit. So, it's an easy thing to get brought up that, Archer has been through this before. So again, they were able to survive that. I don't know what Boeing's legal team looks like. I would imagine that they're
I
fairly
looked into that
pretty.
Whisk one.
Yeah. What you got?
So with Whisk, that happened, was it back in 21 or so? And it got settled in
Started.
23.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Um, so initially, again, that was to do with trade secrets or something.
Can I throw something in real quick and before you get going,
Yep.
Liam? I don't know if it's true or not, and I just giggle out of just the awkwardness of the industry right now. I don't know if it's true, but I heard this thing like a week or two ago where the name for the midnight of the aircraft came from the guy that came to Archer that had taken the secrets from Boeing Whisk, and he had stolen them at midnight, and then that's how we get the midnight
Yeah.
aircraft. So I don't know, guys. Don't write it in stone. Clip it if you need to, but I don't know. But I just smile from the awkwardness of the industry right now. Not that it's anything good to steal the secrets, but please keep
But
going, Liam. Fill them in. Yeah.
they settled that pretty quickly. That never
Yeah.
ran to fruition. They never had to
I mean, you
I
would
don't
think they had to
know,
close
go
shop
through this
after that.
whole battle. And look, they collaborate now.
Yeah.
We know that Archie uses Skygen. But do you know what? If this slows down the industry anymore, you have to like Beta are focusing on cargo heavily at the moment, but
Mm-hmm.
you're giving Beta the ability to
Mm.
speed up. And it gets to the stage where it's all to do with manufacturing ability. And the problem is now, if you're a city, yeah,
Mm.
and you want to bring both Joby and Archer, because that is what's most beneficial for this whole industry, bringing
Oh,
Joby and Archer.
absolutely.
Competition is always the most beneficial.
Absolutely.
Do you want to deal with two guys that don't want to work with each other anymore? They're just like
Mm.
Archer will not work with Joby now, and I don't think Joby will want to work with Archer, unless they settle it. So you've slowed down the whole industry. And again, we now have senior executives are going to have to attend court. So when we're meant to be going into the final stages of certification, we're having to deal with a silly lawsuit. Now, look, I'm holding my
Yeah.
hands up here. If it comes out that Joby are 100% right and Archer in the wrong, well, look, Joby have full right to do a lawsuit against them, because I would do a lawsuit against someone if everything they've said is true and Archer is wrong. Well, I don't know. I think Archer defending it pretty aggressively for someone that has been accused of this. So,
Well, like you said there, Liam, too, it's again, and it's a long legal document, but when you really read through it, how much of it is devoted to Kevork, and again, I apologize, hopefully I'm saying his name right, but to Kevork versus Archer as a company itself. So it is interesting, maybe too, we'll have to see how it plays out, but where if maybe this could have taken course where maybe it was just a lawsuit going after Kevork as opposed to Archer as a whole. But again, the saying, and I'm going to drop this down to page 26. This comes up quite a few times in Joby's statements here in the legal form, where it's to different categories and subcategories, says this phrase, in addition, on information and belief. To this one, it says Archer has been unjustly enriched through its participation in Kevork's breach. So again, there's a lot of in addition on information and belief. And I was talking with Liam, and again, as I'm doing my best to analyze the legal document for everybody here and give my most honest opinion. I don't know if you're going to read other legal documents and it's going to put a little bit more kind of like this is the fact and this is the developer dot dot dot. It's just it's just an interesting legal document that I get what I get what the message is. It's stolen IP and it's very blatant in what Joby believes has happened. But it's yeah, and there's about it seemed to be I think it was 9 to 11. It seems like different suits within that case, and really again, monetarily, it'll be interesting to see, if it was a full shot at Archer, with the unjustly kind of gains that it's spoken that it says that it's been taken away from Joby, or basically these future gains have already been taken away from Joby with this proprietary information being taken. What dollar value do you put on that? And again, it is that one that then takes 1 to 2 quarters off a company, or one that can bankrupt the company, and that I do not know. And even again, saying that, being on either side, I just, and when you had said the pause thing, even made me think about these companies kind of like if they're running around a track trying to race this, or playing hockey, and it's like now Archer and Joby are in the penalty box, and Beta's still on the ice, and
Yeah.
they get to keep going. And like you're talking about the executives with the EIPP, as well as Adam on the Archer side, and to whom on the Joby side is over internationally sealing up these contracts and turning MOUs into hard deals and bringing revenue and making these companies into a profitable business. We're putting a stop to those meetings. Like the calendar is going to be getting booked. Both have legal teams, and those will address preliminary hearings and such like that. But as the CEOs, they're going to have to be kept abreast. And we know Adam's been through this before. I'm not going to speak much on what I haven't done research. It seems like there might be a lawsuit that was either hanging out there or finished with Joby. But again, until I read through that, I'm not going to really speak on that being something that was good, bad, or indifferent for Joby, or how that came out of. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, as the, market, I don't know if futures even might just be out yet, but it'll be interesting to see how, the market one macro starts doing, but then to see maybe inverse to the macro if the Evtol sector can't match the momentum, because, we were really hanging in there with forward momentum, and really the reindustrialization, and that was something too, honestly, as the AI bubbles. Sorry about that. As the AI bubble has been talked about a lot in the past 2 and 3 weeks. I've actually been looking at the eVTOL industry is not so much of a player in the AI bubble. I've been finding the eVTOL industry more in the kind of quote unquote reindustrialization category, which yes, definitely includes AI. But I'm thinking right now that we're a little bit more policy dependent than AI dependent for these aircrafts to enter operations and be in service. And when you got this messy stuff going on, and the FAA's getting back opened, and they are going to come back to a month of work stacked up that they're going to have to get to, what takes precedence? Does the understaffed air towers that Secretary Duffy has been talking about, the revamped ATC system, which may or may not include Archer, we don't know at this time, but they've been talking about revamping the ATC system regardless, laying new wires. My basic point is, do some of the other FAA projects start to take more top of the list? And again, just how dark of a cloud has to come upon the eVTOL industry before it's kind of brushed under the rug? And if we lose a year or two within any administration,
Yeah.
and I'm not really going at a pro or con to this administration, but just for as long as I've seen the eVTOL industry kind of try to grow, even since the inception of Joby, I mean, look at what has happened in 2025. I mean, there's been amazing strides in the eVTOL industry that have happened. And even if they don't show every day in our portfolio, like for me as an eVTOL investor, I'm proud again of what both companies have accomplished. On the Archer side, there have been numerous things that have been done already this year that a year ago, either Reddit analysts, X, whoever it might be, were said weren't going to happen. There was not going to be a pilot in the seat of a midnight. That did happen. Was it VTOL? No. But we got guidance towards Q1 for that to happen. I was
Yeah.
excited about that. Joby, they are pushing through their certification, making momentum, being the first mover, putting the geek system out there, seeing if somebody's going to adopt their charging system or if people are going to stick with CCS and what's going to happen with that. And if you're the first mover, maybe you got a chance to people adapting your system, another revenue stream. Acquiring Blade, looking for a way to integrate their helicopters, meaning Joby, their Evtol aircraft, into commercialization, getting those into early market surveys, even talking about tourism. And now we're
I'm
talking
not
about a
being funny.
lawsuit.
I genuinely feel like this happens in every industry where just before something big happens, you always get something like this to try and shake off the weak hands. Um, I don't know. I do think this will be settled pretty quickly. Um, no matter who's in the, I think the only person that is going to be heavily or get heavy consequences, I think, is Kavork himself. But when it comes to Archer and Joby, I think they're going to settle this pretty quickly. I think both of them don't want this hanging over their head. Will it even get to March? Will it settle before March? We'll see. I want to jump to the comments quickly. Data said, "Who saw Adam's tweet before you saw the lawsuit?" Do you know what? I actually saw the lawsuit first because I was actually on Yahoo Finance and it came down.
Nah.
Then I started recording a video, so I didn't see Adam's tweet for ages. Recording this video, and I was going ham on Archer, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
And
I'd love to see it.
oh my god! And then then that happened with Adam. Then I was like, I need to wait for Joby's response. So I was trying to let it play out a little bit more. I want to see more evidence on both sides. So yeah, that CNC said it's going to be an interesting week. Sure is, my guy. Hovr's dipped massively, hasn't it? Matan, remember when me and you spoke and I said when I was at 320 or something, I said this is going down. This ain't like it ain't gonna hold this level.
Yeah.
There's nothing really coming out. And I said my exact words at the time, Matan, and you can jump in and let everyone know. I said we are a short report away from this collapsing catastrophically. I said, remember what happened with Archer? I said, we have no institutes even in here that can scoop up this. I said, this is going to collapse as soon as the short report comes out. Lo and behold, short report came out and collapsed. We will get onto that a little bit later.
Yeah.
It isn't a side cloud in the industry. It's shaking. The shysters. I don't agree. Aerosonic LLC is suing Joby Aviation. And again, this is bad for the whole industry. Again, Joby Aviation don't need this either. I'm the same on both sides. I don't think Joby should be suing Archer. Now, look.
They should, but...
They should, but they shouldn't.
Right. Of course.
If it is completely like... you've hit the nail on the head and you have all the evidence. Look, they're in full right to sue you because Archer Aviation shouldn't be doing that. Aerosonic, I think they believe that Joby has taken research from them that would have taken them years in research and development. So, look, again, that's another thing that's very, very hard to prove. I don't know, will that settle though? Or Aerosonic just want to get clout off this because it's Joby Aviation? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Don't forget the short report. Yeah. It's been a wild one. Yeah, I will cover that, my guy.
And good to see you, Vass. Always good to see you.
Fad says it'll never go to trial. And then Jan Hicks says Aerosonic sues Joby. If true, Aerosonic claims avoided years of research and development and tens of millions of dollars in investment. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Jumping down, we have the short's gonna have a field day.
Well, you know, and it's interesting too. It was, you know, as you bring up the short, I was thinking about the Grizzly. Oh, and actually, I think another short report might have came out. Was it Thunder Hunterwood Capital or something? Sorry, all right. Sorry, there's so much in the Evtol. It's when we only check in once a week, fellas. You know, got a list of paper, to do's and follow ups on. But I think it might even be another short report on Archer. But it was almost like I don't know. It's like the check marks on the short reports were starting to get knocked off. Some of that was getting proven, and I don't know. So it's sad to see those short reports come out, but yeah, I digress.
Another thing, I know I thought I seen a comment there at one stage, and I want it. Oh yeah, here we go.
Mm.
So Fad says the developer notified that Joby of Archer's info that
Mm.
was stolen. But in court, this is going to be hearsay unless they have complete evidence that
Interesting
Archer took
point.
it from Joby. Or Joby
Interesting.
putting two and two together and going, how do Archer know this and whatever. But if it's just in a meeting and it's not recorded or anything like that, it is
That's
what it is.
tough, but that's
And
yeah.
just because
Even
the
if
developer
true,
told you doesn't mean nothing.
yeah, and but to both sides, even if true, you're right. Just when it does come to a legal proceeding, and these are going to be top lawyers that are in the room. These aren't just right out of school
Yeah.
paralegals and stuff. So yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, great word on the hearsay. So yeah, it's again it's great why we get to talk about this. Where again and I'm not looking for anybody to get out of this in a falsified way, but yes, now you do have to prove it in court with hard evidence. Yeah, great points.
Evtol dead money until they figure out battery life 50 plus minutes of flight time is not good. They have no safety feature or parachute. Mate, you're gonna have to do a bit of research because they do have safety. Says I'm not even gonna get into it right now. You don't need a parachute with redundancy system. Do you know what? Does a jetliner have a parachute system?
No.
That's all I have to say. 50 minutes, but if you're only doing 10 to 15-minute trips, why would you need 50 minutes of flight? That's all I'm going to say. You tell me who is going up with the heavyweight. Oh my God. Bago Holden, please jump in and look, speak to this guy. Go on.
No, I was gonna say, Bag, you got it. Bag holding, love you, our guy. Yeah, on it.
You know what? I actually really like Bago Holden.
I do.
Diane Hicks says, I think the court date is on March 26th. Avionic, Aerosonic is soon Joby with, I believe, court date in December. That'll actually be interesting to see how that plays out because I'm gonna have to dive into that one.
Yeah.
I have seen it going around. I think Mac put it up on X as well.
And it was interesting, and not to cut you off, Liam, but where it's again, I do my best to absolutely cover the whole eVTOL space. Again, to be honest, 9 to 5 worker, got a kid, got a wife, love them. eVTOL is kind of my, it's my second love. It's my marriage, and I devote a lot of time and whole weekend spent reading legal docs. But yeah, I to be fair, I did not even know that this lawsuit was out there on Joby until things started flying on X, and to me, it was really Joby heavy Joby followers or investors, whichever they choose, to be, were the ones filling me in, and now there's a Joby lawsuit, and I'm just like, wait, why? All these lawsuits?
Then Tom Marcelli, big shout out, my guy. Love Tom here. Joby performed forensic analysis on Kivok's equipment. This data is not hearsay. No, I completely agree. I think we said that earlier on. I have no doubt that Kivok took the data. Like, I have no doubt. They wouldn't say it if he didn't. However, you can't prove that Archer used it.
And also in the legal document, and no, and just Tom, so I agree with you as well. That Joby did state they performed the forensic analysis, and I have no doubt that it came back positive. That's what I'll say for now. And again, if I'm wrong, you can clip it, and I apologize to Kevork if I am wrong. But to the point also, in the there was 2 sections where Archer has also done a forensic investigation. Not to say that Kevork didn't steal any docs, but whatever Archer's forensic investigation was in, they did and was to deem Archer in no, I would say, fault of Archer's own, or whatever in this category. And then in the legal doc, Joby did kind of shoot at Archer that they would not share the findings of the forensic investigation. And again, for me, and again, I'm reading Joby's legal doc, so I'm waiting on anything outside of the SEC and Adam's tweet as a full legal response from Archer. But I don't know if I was, I guess, yeah, if just kind of to peel it back, if I was Archer and I did my forensic investigation, I don't know if I'm just turning that over to Joby, the people that are taking me to court in a few months. Like, that's probably the evidence that I'm going to use to show that, I was not involved in the way that Joby is saying. So, yeah, Joby performed forensics. Sounds like Archer performed forensics, and Kevork's in hot water. So, we'll be interesting to see if he, his runtime and if he's his employment time with Archer. Kind of be interesting to see how long that runs.
And Tom says you can prove for the deal that Archer put. Yeah, so if that deal comes out, that's why I was saying if it's in meetings, there's no way you can prove it. If they have an email and it's bang on there, but there's a difference between the developer thinking that Archer know what Joby have, and there's a gray area there. Archer may know what Joby have, yeah, through Kevork, but proving it is another thing.
I might say something kind of dumb
Yeah, go on.
here, but when you talk about what Archer knows about Joby, when Joby knows about Archer, and what we do know is Archer has more cash than Joby. So Archer could go to any developer and basically, bottom line, double the cash advance that Joby's going to put down. So again, we're gonna have to figure out what more comes out. But if it's just if Archer gets interested in developer and the developer's like, oh, we have another name prospect who's offering me 59 million, Archer's like, well, I'll give you 80. This sounds like thing. But also with Archer, it just seems like in their business model, it doesn't seem like they're as heavy into looking to build out vertiports, which is also just kind of like a curveball to me on why like this developer deal, like with bringing Korvik, I apologize on the name, would just be such a major thing to Archer, because that would almost be Archer again pivoting their business plan again to being more of this owner operator of this vertiport network. And we, I guess I would say more factually know that through Cronky getting the vertiport over in SoFi, that seems to be something that has been talked about. So I can't one-to-one that to this deal or that developer. And then to Hawthorne, which happened in November, and I can't state when Archer might have had first laid their eyes on it, just meaning in the sense of when they might have known that we were able to go an airport route versus having to build out mass vertiports. And also with Archer partnering with the Signature, the Falcon Aviations of the world, the JetX, where they're the ones doing these vertiport build outs and doing that. So it just, again, I'm not saying Kevork's innocent, and I can't, and I'll have to go with Archer is innocent until proven guilty in this one. But yeah,
Well,
just
I have no
yeah,
doubt in my mind that Kevork took them with the intention of bringing
yeah,
them to Archer.
yeah.
Like, there's no
Okay.
reason you wouldn't take them.
Was he gonna one off his own company and be like,
Yeah,
okay, now,
because you know
give
what?
me some
He's gonna
investments
look
and
so good when he goes to Archer, isn't he? Now, but in business, if someone brings you them secrets,
mm-hmm.
are you telling me that Adam's gonna go,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, don't show me them. I'm not allowed
I
to
hear
see them.
you.
Like, Adam's
I
gonna
hear
have a
you.
look at them. However,
Yep.
proving it is
Yeah.
another thing. So the dude leaves
Mm.
the company with trade secrets and goes to a competitor, but doesn't share the trade secrets. Yeah, but I think this is more of a Kevork problem than an Archer problem. It's Joby now have to prove that Archer used this. Look, I think Kevork's going to be put back to rights. I don't think he should have taken it. I actually think he may lose his job at Archer through this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's proven it. And it has to be without shadow of a doubt that Archer are using trade secrets.
And again, reading through the legal doc again, with the developer deal, it was like, and it was mentioned that the developer, and again, I apologize, I have all this highlighted and I could go back through, but I just don't want to waste the community's time and such going back through. But I'm feel free if anybody wants me to quote anything, I'll put it up on X. But the developer saying that it was like basically highly suspicious that it was Kavork that told, so it was like it just seems to be a little bit of ambiguous language when it comes directly to it's not so ambiguous about Kavork taking the files. That's like you said, it seems to be dead to rights. That personal email address was set up, that SSO login was either tapped into prior, during the time, and then the worry over him having the docs able to be accessed now, and all the further. I don't know why they haven't shut him out of that yet. Like I don't know why we're continuing to allow Kavork into Joby's docs if I don't know, it's like time for IT to shut his account down and get rid of all that. But yeah, it will be interesting when if Kavork has to take the stand himself, because if that is a man in hot water, and I don't know, I'm to play out the hypothetical of if he's facing jail time and if he's the bird that's got to sing, if he's going to try to cut a sentence in half, it'd be interesting to see what stories he tells. And I'm not saying those are all possibly pro Archer or anti Archer, and yeah, it would be interesting to see.
And then Kavork, as a Joby employee, leaked confidential info. This was the developer's reasoning for terminating the contract. So that'll then be hard to prove that Archer were the reason that their contract was lost, because they're going to say, as a Joby employee, look, I am not a lawyer, anything like that. So please, please take it with a pinch of salt what I'm saying here.
Not law advice in LA, right? Right. Not financial advice.
Definitely not in LA and all that.
Yeah. Not legal advice, but we do.
Guys, honestly, this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
You guys probably do know more than me about this whole legal thing. So honestly, I'm just sharing what I think.
Well, and if you don't mind, throw that back up on there, Liam, because I just want to tap into what Tom said. Go back one just prior. I think it was where was talking about Kavork. Yeah, no, because these are great points that Tom is bringing up, because these are the things where, again, I want to pull them from the legal doc, to share with anybody that either hasn't read it. But when they leaked the confidential info, this was developer reasons for terminating the contract. I guess, again, that's where I want to know more information. And either to me, my curiosity of why Joby can't put that in the legal document, or again, if that's something we're going to see later in the stages of the litigation. But I don't know if my brain is totally connecting 1 + 1 on. Okay, so as the Joby employee now at Archer, he leaked confidential info. Okay, so he's leaked info. We don't know what the info is. And now the reason the developers canceled the deal, but the developer doesn't have a deal with Archer. So now a developer has no deal with anybody, and the developer's also a business, and also
he was a Joby employee.
But also the developer's a businessman, and he doesn't want to so he's not taking the deal with Archer because he didn't want the deal with Archer. It's not like he was like, I'm not taking the deal with Archer because Kavork's working for him now. Joby's saying that the developer didn't take the deal with us because Kavork's with Archer now and he's spilling secrets. So it's just like, I just, I need to know more. I'm very hot watered on Kavork I'm not putting him in any sort of like cold bath and letting Archer off the hook, and more needs to come out. But this is kind of the vague stuff that I'm talking about, where I like, let's ASAP get to this confidential info, because what broke the deal down? Long story long, what broke the deal down?
Diane actually makes a really good point. If neither have a deal, a better deal may have come along and they wanted out of the contract. And me and Dylan were actually talking about this earlier, before the stream. We were like, maybe they just weren't man enough to say it, and we're just like, you know what? Archer said Archer have a better deal, so we're terminating the contract due to, and you could say any other reason. But it is interesting that Archer didn't then get the deal. And then it makes you think, well, who are they working with? It'll be very interesting once we find out who this developer is.
I would like to know. Yeah.
It really. Joby said Kavork's last day as of July 22nd, 25, and shut off Fox access to company email and other computer systems following morning. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tom. Joe been distracted as usual. 18 years with no commercial product or revenues make sense now. Do you know what? Hopefully this gets settled. Hopefully this won't slow down the S4 getting to market, because I genuinely think, as a Joby investor, as an Archer investor,
Sure.
I actually think you should be pushing each other to get to market as quick as possible, because the sooner the public see either of these flying, it just reinstates how safe these aircraft will be.
Yeah.
How this will be the next mode of transport. Isn't it better having 50 S4 here and 50 midnight there, 100 vehicles flying around? Public adoption would be so much better than one company having to pull it all on its own back. Then it's just a manufacturing race. Why don't we just focus on, what we're meant to focus on, rather than battles back and forth? However, I do stand by Joby a full right to do a lawsuit against Archer if Archer have stolen them. However, I just think it's just so higgledy-piggledy. We don't know enough about it, and there's no point us keep speculating over it either. We don't know enough information about it. That's why it's gone to court. That's why it's not with us here in the
Yeah, that's why we're not settling it. They didn't charge it, or they didn't set our date for November 20th yet.
Guys, the 64 you here, do smash the like button, please, and thank you. We're now over 3,800 subs. And you know what? X is starting to really accelerate too. We're 1,061 or something like that on X. So do follow us on X as well. Guys, do you want us to actually start pushing out Instagram? I have made an Instagram, but I haven't actually started really rolling with it. Do you want us to start doing Instagram? We could start putting the shorts up on Instagram and stuff like that. So do let me know. I actually might start clipping these live streams and putting up on like Instagram or something like that, just so if guys do miss it or are too bored to watch the whole thing, they can pick up little bits. Tech we love, big shout out, my guy. If the developer didn't take the deal with Archer, how would Joby be harmed financially? Now, Joby would be harmed financially if they had a contract with the developer, and the developer is now saying the reason they're terminating is because of Archer. That's where they'd be harmed financially. But it's all to do with this is where it just gets so like I don't know where they're suing, saying that Kavork has done this, and are they just trying to get Archer to get rid of Kavork, or I don't know. It's just gonna be
no. But it's fair points though. It's no. They're good kind of like. Again, it's like Evtol. It's always want to leave us these little breadcrumbs to kind of try to figure out, and it's like we definitely do our best, and it's definitely a hardworking community. And I wouldn't be surprised if this community actually figures out these answers, about just as quick as the Yahoo Finances and such of the world, kind of report into it. So, yeah, definitely, either through us or on X. If you're not following us, any of your great followers that you choose to follow on X to get the Evtol news, I'm sure they're doing great too and pumping it out. And yeah, and I think, Liam, it's just one of those things too where it just to me again, it just sours the momentum a little bit. And like you said, it's nothing that I don't feel that is fair or justified by Joby to do. Again, if there is something to take place. Again, we'll need to find out more in the sense where it's like, why can't you just sue Kavork personally on the side, and not so much bring the names of Joby and Archer and the whole industry to the front page for the wrong reason. I mean, they say no news is bad news, but I don't know if this is necessarily the news that the Evtol industry needs heading into the year and going in the next quarter.
You don't need your two front runners to be at war with each other. It just slows everything down.
Yeah.
There's no positive outcome that comes out of this. Even if Joby do get a nice settlement with Archer, just the time it's wasted. At the end of the day, the only thing that's gonna push this industry forward is getting these aircraft out to market and getting backsides on the seats. That's it.
I agree. I agree.
No, guys, we will jump back to Archer and Joby, but I know quite a few of you have been asking us
Yeah.
to cover Horizon short report that came out. I know Matan done a extensive review of the short report. Pelican Research is in war with you. They've then came back and started calling out the YouTube channel that. So do you know what? We're gonna look at Pelican pretty quickly. I'm not gonna bring the whole short report up, but I'm just gonna put what they pull up on X. If you want us to cover the whole short report, we can do that in a video. Just because to cover a whole short report is a little long. So let me throw this up, guys. How do we feel about Horizon? Horizon's dropped
Yeah.
30%
Let's go.
last week. We're sitting at 129.
Okay.
No, so we're pushing close to that dollar again. Like I said, why did we not dilute back when we were?
Mhm.
I was calling for dilution around 320. I said there's no, like, the company's not valued at this. Like, why?
Sure.
Market cap's now 55 million. You're so close to the dollar. You dilute. Like, we're in
Long
very
time.
dangerous territory now. If no news comes out to bring stock price up, just because you're so close now to the $1 range.
Mm-hmm.
You have, is it what, 15 months left of a runway of
Yeah.
cash
It's now about.
to get you to flight demonstrator that will not generate cash.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is not looking good at the moment. But look, we'll look at the short report. I haven't proper analyzed this like I've analyzed the lawsuit, so do forgive me, guys. Let me
Been
share this.
busy days in the industry for sure.
So jumping across
Yeah.
Horizon over the past 5 days, we're down 32%. Over the
Okay.
past month, down 52%. And then yes, the all-time high was 390. So
Mm.
look, we're back at these lows here.
Okay.
Pelican Research, a
Yeah.
short Horizon aircraft. They believe it's a prospectless eVTOL company. No, I don't agree with it's prospectless, but they're scraping by on endless dilution. So diluted higher on. But they ran out of a tiny building in small rural airport. Look, we always knew that. This is what I was calling about. I
Yeah.
was saying, remember when I said about the Hovr X7 and everyone was saying they should push out the drone? And I was like, but it's not like they have the room to be like manufacturing these drones by the hundreds
Yeah.
and have the Hovr X7. It feels like once the Hovr X7's in there, you have no room for the manufacturer of the drone. So look, you're looking at the manufacturing facility there. It's what? About 3 cars width and about whatever. And the home that public data indicates is occupied by CEO's wife with the order of being sued for gross negligence relating to Ponzi fraud case. That doesn't sound great, but look, these short reports never do
True.
when you read them.
True.
Verizon operates out of a minuscule building at an airport in Canada, so small we wonder whether it can realistically fit a full-size eVTOL. Now, look, I'm not gonna lie to you guys; it can fit a full-size Hovr X7 in there. We have quite a good relationship with Brandon. We know it can fit. However, it can't fit multiple, and it can't fit loads of Hovr X5s while you have Hovr X7 in there. So we need to be realistic with what this company is. We've always said it is very, very early doors.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what I was saying. We were getting people trying to compare them to Archer and Joby. We've done a video from Covington, Georgia. You've seen how big that manufacturing facility is. So look, when we're speaking about Archer with a 2 billion in cash, they have the Lilium patents now. What? Horizon says they have patents for the fan ducts, but that's only for the angle that they close in at. Why can't Archer use if this Cabaret X7 is so great, why can't Archer use the Lilium fan ducts and create the exact same thing? If it takes 12 million, or is it 17 million to bring full scale out, well, Archer could throw 100 million at that, and they could do it so much quicker. So this is what I'm saying. This is very, very speculative, guys. Horizon of a listed address on its website is just a small house in Ohio. Now, this is... There's no defense for this. Yeah. So do you know when we were on about the Ohio office?
I was going to say, yeah, I think that was brought up, right?
And remember how some investors were saying, why don't we manufacture in Ohio? Well, this is why we don't manufacture in Ohio.
Yeah.
This is why we don't hear much about the American office.
And I think on that side, you know, if you lean into Hovr, I think there is a piece of, you know, you can have an LLC or a business property in the US. So again, being a Canadian subsidiary, you know, maybe it does do them justice to have that US address for, you know, the sense of future legal operations, or at least to kind of get their foot in the door of those talks and to be able to say that, yes, we do have a quote unquote, you know, US office, US based office that can be worked out of. But yeah, no manufacturing or build are most likely going to be happening from that location.
Now, the only thing, and this where I think Pelican have got them in a little bit of a sticky situation. So the owner of this house then, or the occupant of this house, is Brandon's wife. Now, I love Brandon. Brandon's a good friend of ours. But why is a business asset your wife's house? Is this just a holiday home that the company's paid for? I'm not like
Yeah, I
I'm
got
not
you.
accusing nothing, but it's not a great look, this. Yeah. But it's not all bad. So according to public source, CEO's wife occupies the house. In an interview, CEO appeared taken off guard by a question about it and said they're thinking about expanding to Ohio, then closed with no one should look into it. Look, I think Brandon's pretty open. I think if we
I agree.
asked Brandon about this, I think he'd be pretty open with what's going on with that. No, I don't want to make assumptions. We spoke to a waitress at the airport restaurant. Now, if you're a serious short report institute, why in the name of God are you speaking to the waitress at the restaurant in the airport? Why not just go straight up to the door and see what's going on?
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Brandon is that open that I reckon if they just reached out to him, Brandon would have let them in the front door.
I believe you. Yeah.
So we spoke to the waitress at the airport in the restaurant, who apparently had never seen Horizon flying or leaving the hangar because they didn't actually know what Horizon did. No, not gonna lie. How old is this waitress? How long has she been there? Is this just some, I don't know, school leaver that isn't that interested in aviation, but they've got a job working at the restaurant there and doesn't know? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I can work next door. I used to manage several shops, and I couldn't tell you what was going on next door if I hadn't any interest in it.
Exactly.
They've never seen them flying or leaving the hangar, but that's because the Cabaret X7 does not exist. Like they're working on the flight demonstrator, so of course it's not flying. And then the Cabaret X5, Brandon did openly say they have another location where they demonstrate or where they do their flight demonstration, so they're not going to see them fly around here. Even though they did repairs and decals, so yeah, but surely that'll be happening inside the manufacturing facility. On the other hand, the airport manager knew what was happening and told us that Hovr was still in design phase with only a small scale model to work with. only an experimental thing they're doing right now. But that, like, we all know that as Horizon investors, we know that's where they are.
That's true.
So, there's no lie in there. So, point 3 is completely irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Point 4 is relying on extreme dilution that allows management to continue playing with their toy Evtol. Look, they're being a bit patronizing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it does rely on extreme dilution, but doesn't any company at this early stage? I do think they were a little bit silly not to dilute at that time. And before people say to me, it's okay looking back now, this is why the Horizon guys got very upset with me, because I was saying they should dilute at that stage. So I was saying it all along they should dilute, and I said they were overvalued at that stage.
Mhm.
At this stage now, I think it's quite a nice price. You need to know what you're buying, and this is exactly why you need to do your due diligence on. Because when I was getting some questions on comparing them to Archer and Joby, I was saying about the manufacturing facility. I was saying about their flight demonstrator and the cash runway. But people were speaking to me as if these were heavy competition to Archer and Joby. And this is why I was saying, when everyone's saying to me about Medivac and they're saying about the range, and then they're saying about they're going to be working with the Department of Defense. But I knew how big the facility was. And this way I said, instead of focusing on all these different things, why not focus on one, get that working okay, and then go from there? Because I'm not gonna lie, this is no disrespect to anything that's happening there, but I could say, look, I'm content creating at the moment, yeah. I could say that I am going to take on Joe Rogan, and I'm going to interview this person. I'm going to interview that. But you know what I'll do? I'll actually do it twice a day, and I don't have the facilities. I don't have anything.
Right.
So
It's one thing to say, yeah. It's
there's one thing to say it, and there's one thing to do it. They managed to dilute in 24 shareholders by 236%, with insiders dumping millions of dollars in stock. Even worse, management appears to be dumping the own stock before turning on dilution. Do you know what? This is every company, though. You see stock get dumped before dilution takes place.
yeah.
You can't really hate on Horizon for doing that. Would you not do it?
No, and again, as the roadmaps as we've seen on these eVTOL companies, if it's if they're if in your heart and your gut this is is a design that you see can come to fruition and there's a use case, and I think Horizon really for me came into the picture when Joby and Archer were kind of taking the piloted flights and getting to Dubai, and we were kind of breaking down even by an aircraft numbers. What could each of these aircraft and the range kind of take on, and there was a lot of excitement on the range that the Hovr aircraft was capable of, and going on the regional missions and looking in the medevac. And I think it was very, very, very probable use cases for the company. But again, I always felt like kind of looking at Hovr was actually a great way to kind of have that peel back and look into the early stages of Joby and Archer. And in talking with Brandon when it gets to the dilution, I did ask him a question very specifically. What is your plans on dilution and to that, the effects on the shareholder. And but to paraphrase, to generally quote, but to paraphrase, his answer was, we're not going to dilute to anything that is going to be a hurt to the shareholder. Meaning, to me, that was meaning that he's not going to dilute to not have a good reason to have that capital invested back into New Horizon aircraft and to continue out his opportunity to build his full scale prototype and then move on to flight demonstrator. So there was also the talk of the backing from the Canadian government. So I mean, but again, you're hitting on it, Liam. In a new startup company, I mean, I think it would be very easy to put a short report out saying that dilution will be coming and is necessary and dot dot dot. And there's going to be plenty of other companies that aren't Horizon that dilute and are going to do X, Y, and Z right or wrong with the capital through the year.
But
yeah.
they've no way of earning money, really, unless they dilute.
That's
You
true.
can say they get grants and stuff like that. Look, this is the reality of a startup, but this is what investors need to realize, and this is why I said know what you're investing in. So these short reports should not affect you.
Mhm.
If anything, it should be an opportunity. I think Horizon investors. I had so many people saying to me it's going to $10, and I was like, why is it going to $10? There's no like Matan. Remember when we had that call, and we were talking about the whole community around Horizon, and they were saying they were pushing for the likes of $10, and I openly said it's not valued at that. They only have X, Y, and Z, and that's no fault of Horizons. But
Mhm.
they're now valued at it was near enough 150 million.
Mhm.
For I'm not gonna lie, a very good concept, but that was it. Um, Pelican says they're a bottomless pit of dilution.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of waffle. Um, when Hovr's facilities compared to peers like you can't compare them to Joby and Archer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is exactly why I'm saying it.
Nonsense.
Like you can put them side by side, but I can do that with anything. I could compare Archer and Joby to Tesla and
Mhm.
say, look, this is the Gigafactory and this is Covington George. Like,
Mhm.
don't be comparing. If we
Comparing
could,
to, like, Rocket Lab and
Tesla would
SpaceX to
probably,
where Joby and
yeah,
Archer
Tesla would
are,
probably
it's mhm.
a bad example. But if I compared it to like
I hear
Boeing's
I hear you.
um, manufacturing facilities,
Mhm.
Covington Georgia would look tiny. So look, I don't. Point 0.5 is just a
No.
lot of. Horizon managed to botch up its accounting so badly that to restate immediately after going public, eliminated nearly all supposed development assets. Because, look, I'm not going to go too far into that. Something may have gone on there. Sued for gross negligence tied to a fraud Ponzi scheme case. So I'm not even going to get into that. Don't know enough about it to go into that. Not going to lie. We believe Horizon never should have gone public in the first place by the company's own filing. Who in the name of the Lord are you anyway? 578 followers. Do you know what? There's not much to it. The only thing that does worry me is this. I think that's a bad look, and that the wife living in it. But look, there could be a reason for it. Um, I
Well,
don't
I'll
know.
even say there in the US, Liam, you can get business licenses in different states. And I want to say Kentucky, I think, is one of the cheaper ones to get a business license. So, again, I don't know the whole ethic and morals behind it, but I think there are times even you'll have a company that's on the East Coast or something, they'll get their business license in Kentucky because, again, it's cheaper there. And, they're operating their business out of Virginia. So, in the US sense, it's, what I take from that is most likely that is again a physical US address, that can be used for, dot 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 general purposes for the business. And I guess, it is to be seen on, whether Brandon spends any time there and if, Zoom calls and business are being done from there, and maybe it, a secondary workshop, work office, Brandon doing some of his business, again, versus it being a commodity that basically has been purchased through Horizon through shareholder money, if that's what Pelican is even really insinuating, and he's just not housing his wife there. And again, I'll just go by with the time I was able to spend with Brandon. Just he doesn't seem like a shyster, seem very upfront,
Yeah.
and I actually agree with you. I think had Pelican walked up to Brandon, he would have
I
answered
think he
every
would have just
question.
opened the door and said, "Come on in."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he does seem pretty open. Um, Matan says it's a bogus report. I don't think it's a bogus report. I think some of what look, all these reports are not going to say things we like.
Hmm.
They're intended. Look, these are trying to make money on shorting the stock, so they're gonna say everything bad about the stock. I think why it tanked so much is because I honestly believe, hand on heart, and Horizon guys won't agree with this, but I honestly believe a lot of Horizon don't know enough about the company, and they got shocked when they seen the facility they were arguing with me when I was saying how small it was. They were arguing with me about when I said Archer were getting deals in the UAE for Medivac and that Horizon can do it better. And it was a bit like, but like Horizon just like at the moment, in reality, Archer could throw 100 million at this, and what? That'd be 5% of their budget, and they could throw 100 million at this, and already that is 10 times the amount of capital you have to get you to your flight demonstrator, which is only the start of everything.
And
like,
that's true.
It's all right back in the company, and it's all right getting excited about this, and I've nothing against Horizon. Don't compare them to Archer, and don't compare them to Joby, because they are like...
Well, and even to that, we're even kind of learning that a year ago when Archer and Joby were being compared, it was almost kind of I don't want to say unfair, maybe a better word to use, but it's even hard to compare Archer and Joby again together. They're a closer comparison, absolutely. More of the same model aircraft, going after the same industry, definitely industry competitors for build, for cert, so yes. But again, just in the longevity of the company, the flight test campaigns, the flight test hours that all of these companies have been through, it may not be apples to oranges, but we might be comparing different flavored apples to different flavored apples at times in these conversations. Yeah.
Well, what I think happened with this short report came out on November 13th or so. The stock didn't actually start properly tanking until a few days after. And what I honestly think happened was, look, that is November 17th we started tanking. And that's when all the news started going around about the short report. Now, what I think genuinely happened was the market started tanking as a macro, and then people started looking into why Horizon was tanking. And then they've discovered this, and then they've started discovering some home truths about Horizon, that it's not this big manufacturing facility. Look, there's a difference here. Brandon never said this. Brandon's been pretty open about this. It's the Horizon investors for, like, the amount of people I had coming to me telling me how great Horizon was, and they're a better design, and they're better at this, and they're better at that. And how many times have I said on Evtol Weekly, design does not really matter once you get a fit use case, because at the end of the day, once they get past FAA certification, S4 and Midnight, it does not matter. At that stage, it's whoever's the most convenient.
Exactly. Many
Do you
times
care whether you fly on an Airbus A380 or you fly on a, I don't know, Boeing 787?
I could pretend I say yes, but no, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know until I get on that plane and there's the little flap in the back that tells me that it's a 737 Max or a 37. And that's when, not even to be funny, but then you get on the 737 Max and you're reading cars like kind of, oh-ish, I'm on the 737 Max. These things have had issues in the past. But did I do my research before even getting on that plane? No. Like you say, general performance on the eVTOLs. It seems that there's been some studies that 120 miles an hour are basically the optimal speed for an air taxi network. And again, basic algebra and physics and math. When you're going X miles at X speed, you're kind of only able to shave off so much time. So again, whether it's the Civic, the Jaguar, the Mercedes, or the Lincoln that picks us up, Liam, if it's for the air taxi reason, I think most will be getting on the aircraft and taking whichever one takes them for their return trip home.
Matan says, forget size. It's not Hovr's goal to ever build massive facility. Yeah, but you still need to be able to build more than, like, once you have one, you have nowhere to store this one because you can't build another.
Yeah.
It won't be vertically integrated and build these aircraft. They'll be partnering. Look, you still need your own manufacturing facility, even when you partner, like the likes of Joby partnering
with
Toyota for manufacturing, and Archer partnering with Stellantis for manufacturing. You still need your own manufacturing facilities. These will just back you. I know everyone keeps on about Bombardier. Do you think Bombardier all of a sudden goes, right, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use up all my space for the Hovr
Mhm.
X7 to be manufactured, I'd be like, no, like, why are you using my space?
Sure,
Whether I'm
sure.
partnering with you or not, it'd be like, Matan, you have a channel there, yeah? It'd be like me and you partnering together, yeah?
Okay,
With me doing everything,
hear that.
and then us partnering together. It'd be like, how does Horizon have this much leverage over someone? Like, how
Mhm.
can Horizon walk into Bombardier and say, right, I want your manufacturing space to manufacture the aircraft? And they don't need billions in cash, so they're not even going to give Bombardier anything to build a separate manufacturer. So Bombardier actually have to do all the.
Well,
And
and
we're
like you
talking about
said, yeah.
Bombardier. There's no even relationship with Bombardier at the moment. Until that's announced, we can tinfoil hat it all we like. But the relationship with Bombardier is the exact same as Archer and Tesla, really. Um,
Hopes and
there's,
dreams, but you
there's
would kind
rumors
of,
there, but
and you kind of need Bombardier to knock on that door too. I guess
and
to
now we're saying the
open
whole
those.
business model is not only um about so this means your whole business is designed around getting a partnership. And if you don't get the partnership, that means you're out of business.
That's tough.
And they don't need billions in cash. But how do you expect to do anything without billions in cash? These things don't just like grow themselves. And we can see with Archer and Joby at the moment, like we're saying here that
Hmm.
Brandon's business model was to now sell the Hovr X7 and not operate them, and they don't need vertiports. But really, that's what Archer are doing now. They're not operating them. Technically, they don't need a vertiport. So I don't know. It's getting a bit shaky there. FAA has mandated for all eVTOLs a control landing in the event of power loss. I think making a functional eVTOL that can carry enough and move it far enough is more important than having factories. If someone made one in the garage, it would instantly be the leader of eVTOL. Like, do you know what? You should make one in your garage, and you'd be the leader, my guy.
That's the secret. The bag's already on it. He's got it in the garage, and he will be unveiling it. I love you, bag.
And then Tom
Bring it to
Lyson
market. Yeah,
says, and look, Tom has a lot of what am I gonna say? I can't even say the word that I can't remember the word. He has a lot of put it this way, Tom works in this space. So Tom has a lot of authority on this. Yeah.
business acumen, definitely. Yeah, in the manufacturing field.
So Tom says visit some manufacturing plants. You'd be surprised how much space and complexity even simple components need.
Hmm.
And that is what makes you think it's how can you make a full aircraft in, and this is no disrespect, something
Hmm.
that's smaller than one of my cattle sheds.
That's true.
Yeah, good point. But we just differ in the belief that design does matter. After full scale gets proven, the floodgates will open. At the moment, with cash and everything, it's starting to get very, very worrying about full scale getting proven. Because we have 15 months left of runway. And we said we have zero cash then.
Hmm.
We're at a stage, we're at 129. So we dilute, we're under the dollar.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a race against time.
like I'm gonna be dead honest with you. It's a very nice prospect. It's a bit like Lilium at the moment.
Yeah.
Great design. Can't fault that, hands down. They were always subject to macro conditions being unfavorable. So as soon as the macro conditions came down, this was gonna come collapsing down. Short report was placed at a very nice time that it was always gonna collapse it then. I don't know. It's one of those would you prefer to buy Archer at $6
Hmm.
or Horizon at $129? I know what I would hands on do.
That's a good question. I like that question you posed.
If someone had a real eVTOL that worked, they could fly it daily and make flights instant time and instant money. Do you know what, Bag? Will I start flying in one? Yeah.
That's right.
Tom says even something as simple as machining a gear requires
Yeah.
dozens of stations. Look, and he
Fair.
knows that. I was the lead
Fair.
project engineer at Linamar for a decade. Now I brew beer. Do you know what, Tom? We need to go on the beer, my guy. I love that. Brew beer, drink beer. That explains. Oh nah, come on, show a bit of love, my guy.
Yeah, even me, Tom, go back and forth, but I love Tom for his
Nah,
knowledge
the
on
one thing I love
Joby,
about
and
Tom, yeah,
he's really
Tom is a
forward
big
with that.
supporter of Joby, and look, we can have a debate back and forth with Tom, but at the end of the day, Tom always respects us. We always respect Tom, and at the end of the day, we always have a laugh. And that's what I love about this whole
And,
industry.
and I want to give you credit too, Liam, because again, I think that's something you preached very early on in this eVTOL community, where and you've opened this where, and again, this is how initially I popped on here one day. You just opened it up and said, hey, if anybody wants to jump on the spaces, come in. And I was nervous. I was sitting on the floor of my bedroom. I'm like hiding away from my like 3-year-old kid at the time. I'm like, all right, let's do this. I don't get to talk with anybody about this. Jump on. But no, I just want to again commend you because again, you've always had that saying where yeah, like let's get on here, let's debate it, but let's basically do it in a friendly and camaraderie sort of way where again it's okay to disagree, and we can have our brand loyalty to Archer and to Joby or to Beta or to Hovr or to Eve or to none of them, or and Bag always being the one that can kind of keep us grounded until we can prove Bag wrong on the next thing. Yeah, I think maybe if we can walk into the week, guys and girls, figuring out a way to like maybe unite as the eVTOL industry again and show that there is not just the community, the retail community and the retail investor community sentiment, but the like again, we may be the first ones that are flying, and I'm not talking about me and Liam. I'm talking about us guys and girls that are invested in these aircraft. Because we're probably gonna be the first ones that know that these are the market. And so let's just keep the narrative if you're for it. Going in a positive direction, and whether if you're on the side of Archer, Joby, obviously speak your piece, and whether it's with us here on the weekly on X, I definitely don't want anybody to censor themselves and to feel that they can't speak their mind and speak honestly about either company. But again, I just implore any positivity that we can put back into the community space, and sometimes that energy manifests itself, and we put the positivity back into the community, and again, that I'm not saying that necessarily Duffy is checking in on us every day, but if nobody cares about these eVTOLs anymore, I just don't know if they really get pushed through as much as Adam and Joe Ben want them to. There's got to be people that want them in their mark. It basically want to be the consumers of this product. So messy macros, messy eVTOLs. Hopefully in that, everybody was able to kind of shake it off and have a good weekend in some sense. And yeah, it might sound corny, but maybe again, this fraction and friction of the Joby lawsuit can somehow bring us all as investors back together and highlight the international deals, the local deals, the partnerships, and the lean in that within the last few weeks that the companies have actually shared with each other on the earnings call, and maybe looking to come together to create an eVTOL network, not a one-off eVTOL company, I guess,
Yeah.
as I kind of differ on that one. But yeah, just whatever you guys got,
Oh no, I
be
had
honest.
fun
But
on X this week. Back and forwards with people. It was getting quite funny.
yeah,
Yeah, as long as it's respectful. I really don't care whether you're a Archer diehard, you're a Joby diehard. Look, I'll swing on one side for a while and I was swing on another side for a while. Look, I openly on Archer's earning call in front of all the Archer guys that are
Mm-hmm.
diehard Archer. I said I don't believe in this Hawthorne thing. I went
Mm-hmm.
back on it and said, look, I actually don't mind it, and I said why. I think sometimes Joby guys think I am really pushing Archer, and look, I completely agree. I can be pushing Archer heavily on some occasions, but I went through a good 6 months where I wouldn't even speak about Archer, and I was pushing on
Mm-hmm.
Joby.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just there's some clowns on X. I've just started blocking them now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if it gets personal or anything like that, I'm just like, do you know what? It is what it is. Matt Money actually pulled up something really nice
Oh
earlier,
yeah. What is it?
and what did he say? He said,
Paraphrase.
the beauty of social media is
Mm-hmm.
it lets experts uh, be put on the same level, or
Mm.
not the beauty of social media, but it puts experts on the same level as someone that has just walked into the industry, and someone that's just
Yeah.
walked into the industry actually could get more attention than the experts because it's more controversial. So therefore, people that are easily influenced are now exposed to um,
Mm-hmm.
pounds, really.
Mm-hmm.
Dax Player says peace. Do you know what, Dax? We
We
love you
know it.
here.
We know it, D. Yeah, yeah, you're our guy. And it's like we love the banter, and it's nice to see the competition, and we got to shake this lawsuit out. I think again we needed the ramp in manufacturing, and now we need more information on this lawsuit. Very curious what happens with Kevork Archer. Does he stay? Does he go? I'll keep
I
diving
think he
into his.
has to go just to
Yeah,
smooth this out a bit. I think if Archer let him go, I actually think they'll stand more of a chance in the lawsuit.
I like
If
that
they
point.
if they leave him there,
It's kind of like putting your foot
look,
in the
at the end of the
ground.
day,
Hmm.
I am fully under the belief that Archer have seen Joby's trade secrets that Kavor has taken. However, have they actually? Would they be silly enough to go to someone that's
Hmm.
contracted with Joby and try and counter them by being so blatantly obvious that you know Joby's secrets?
I like that point.
Um, I don't know, guys. Do let me know where do you think we're gonna end up going this week. I think we might have a little bit of a relax. It could. You have Thanksgiving this week, do you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I gotta check on the markets. I would say definitely close Thursday would be my assumption on it.
Yeah, and I think it's a
Some people
half
get
day
off
on
Fridays.
Monday.
But I think you're right on that if I remember from last year. Yeah, so shorter weeks. So you kind of got both things where you might have some of the investment institutional people enjoying some leave, so you might have some lower volume coming in this week. And different catalysts could up or down a certain stock. And yeah, we got a couple falling knives in some of the more prominent companies, the Metas, the Nvidias, the AMDs was dropping hard. So, I think not just the Evtol community, but a lot of people were feeling some pain.
Oh, Palantir.
Yeah. But I mean, that thing over 200, not but 10 days ago, cut down to 150, So I guess we got to. I guess I got to quote Reese and say, "Time in the market is better than timing the market." And if we can withstand the storm, I think you had a great video when you were saying, because I wasn't in it when the '08 crash happened, but yeah, we stay plugged in, withstand the storm and hope to come out, on the other side.
Oh, it's one of those, yeah. I have these $8 calls for January 16th, and I was so certain it was coming in.
Hmm.
This is why you just can't um write this stuff. I was so certain this coming in, and then next thing, this lawsuit came out. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
it is what it is, guys. I genuinely think this market may be a release this week, just because will institutes be buying in heavy coming in on a short week? Maybe, we don't know.
Mhm.
Um, then we did set off pretty heavy. Like futures are looking all right. Are we up 0.46% at the moment? think Archer's up 0.7 pre-market now, and Joby's up 0.9. So, look, I don't think we're going to have as bad of a week. We might get more information on the lawsuit. I don't think we really will. I think maybe wait till March now. Hopefully it'll get settled pretty early. I wouldn't worry, guys. One of those. I said it. Never panic. When you think we've hit the bottom, we're going down a little bit lower. When you think we've hit the top, we're going that bit higher. And when you sell a stock, it's just the unwritten rules. When you sell a stock, she always goes up. When you buy a stock, we always go down.
But
do you know what? On the way out, guys, you have to smash that like button.
Love it.
Then, look, we're pushing for 4,000 now. I reckon we'll have 4,000 within a week or two. 4,000 subscribers. Want to push for 2,000 followers on X. My name's Ian, one of the host brothers. Here with good mate Dylan, co-host. Do jump in, follow Dylan on X. Dylan is Dylan11. Show him some love. And also, Tom, I love that comment you put up there. You guys are great. We all learn from each other. Thank you so much. And you actually bring so much information to the stream. So I really love that. Dax, keep being you, my guy.
Yeah,
you do share an awful lot of information. Bag, you know we love you.
And if you're hanging in the back, Terry, big shout out to my guy Terry. Oh, this whole community, shout out to everybody. It's so cool how after a year, it's really like getting to know each other and really texting with guys on here, and it's a beautiful thing. So
make a hustle, brothers. Reddit's up. Bag, you actually witness what happens anytime I even speak on Reddit, my guy. I thought I'd go back. I thought I'd go undercover, and you've seen what happens, Bag. You even tried to defend me on it, but no, I won't be going near Reddit again. I'll stay away from it. Do you know what, guys? I'll drop a video tomorrow.
Love it.
Might drop two. We'll see you then. Right.
Peace. Have a great